Hi friends, this is The Owl Who Was Afraid of the Dark by Jill Tomlinson. It's one of my favourites from when I was a little girl, and it's an English book, so some of the vocabulary may be a little different, and I'll explain it as we go along. Dark is exciting. Plop was a baby barn owl, and he lived with his mummy and daddy at the top of a very tall tree in a field. Plop was fat and fluffy. He had a beautiful heart-shaped ruff. He had enormous round eyes. He had very knackety knees. In fact, he was exactly the same as every baby barn owl that had ever been, except for one thing. Plop was afraid of the dark. "You can't be afraid of the dark," said his mummy. "Owls are never afraid of the dark." "This one is," Plop said. "But owls are night birds," she said. Plop looked down at his toes. "I don't want to be a night bird," he mumbled. "I want to be a day bird." "You are what you are," said Mrs. Barn Owl firmly. "Yes, I know," agreed Plop. "But what I are is afraid of the dark." "Oh dear," said Mrs. Barn Owl. It was clear that she was going to need a lot of patience. She shut her eyes and tried to think how best she could help Plop not to be afraid. Plop waited. His mother opened her eyes again. "Plop, you are only afraid of the dark because you don't know about it." "What do you know about the dark?" "It's black," said Plop. "Well, that's wrong for a start. It can be silver or blue or grey or lots of other colours, but almost never black. What else do you know about it?" "I don't like it," said Plop. "I do not like it at all." "That's not knowing something," said his mother. "That's feeling something." "I don't think you know anything about the dark at all." "Dark is nasty," Plop said loudly. "You don't know that. You've never had your beak outside the nest hole after dusk. I think you'd better go down into that world and find out a lot more about the dark before you make up your mind about it." "Now?" said Plop. "Now," said his mother. Plop climbed out of the nest hole and wobbled along the branch outside. He peeped over the edge. The world seemed to be a very long way down. "I'm not a very good lander," he said. "I might spill myself." "Your landing will improve with practice," said his mother. "Look, there's a little boy down there on the edge of the wood collecting sticks. Go talk to him about it." "Now?" said Plop. "Now," said his mother. There's a little boy with sticks. So Plop shut his eyes, took a deep breath, and fell off his branch. His small white wings carried him down, but as he said, he was not a good lander. He did 7 very fast somersaults past the boy. "Ooh!" cried the little boy. "A giant Catherine wheel." "Actually," said the Catherine wheel, picking himself up, "I'm a barn owl." So a Catherine wheel is a type of firework, and it spins around. It's very fast and very exciting. A type of firework. "Oh, yes, you are," said the little boy with obvious "Oh, yes, sorry. Oh, yes, so you are," said the little boy with obvious disappointment. "Of course, you couldn't be a firework yet. Dad says we can't have fireworks until it gets dark." "Oh, I wish it would hurry up and get dark soon." "You want it to get dark?" said Plop in amazement. "Oh, yes," said the little boy. "Dark is exciting. And tonight is especially exciting because we're going to have fireworks." "What are fireworks?" asked Plop. "I don't think owls have them. Not barn owls, anyway." "Don't you?" said the little boy. "Oh, you poor thing. Well, there are rockets, flying saucers, and volcanoes, and golden rain, and sparklers, and—" "But what are they?" begged Plop. "Do you eat them?" "No," laughed the little boy. "Daddy sets fire to their tails, and they whoosh into the air and fill the sky with coloured stars. Well, the rockets, that is. I'm allowed to hold the sparklers." "What about the volcanoes and the golden rain? What do they do?" "Oh, they sort of burst into showers of stars. The golden rain pours, well, like rain. And the flying saucers? Oh, they're super. They whiz round your head and they make a sort of wee noise. I like them best. I think I would like fireworks, said Plop. I'm sure you would, the little boy said. Look here, where do you live? Up in that tree, in the top flat. There are squirrels further down. That big tree in the middle of the field? Well, you can watch our fireworks from there. That's our garden, the one with the swing. You look out as soon as it gets dark. Does it have to be dark? Said Plop. Of course it does. You can't see a fireworks unless it's dark. Well, I must go. These sticks are for the bonfire. Bonfire? Said Plop. What's that? You'll see if you look out tonight. Goodbye. Goodbye, said Plop, bopping up and down in a funny little bow. He watched the boy run across the field and then took a little run himself, spread his wings and fluttered up to the landing branch. I just want to show you, there's a little picture of a squirrel there, his neighbour. He slithered along on his tummy and dived headfirst into the nest hole. Well, said his mother, the little boy says dark is exciting. And what do you think, Plop? I still do not like it at all, said Plop, but I'm going to watch the fireworks if you will sit with me. I will sit by you, said his mother. So will I, said his father, who had just woken up. I like fireworks. So that is what they did. And when it began to get dark, Plop waddled to the mouth of the nest hole and peered out cautiously. There he is when he gets back on the branch, and there he is, peeking out of the hole. Come on, Plop, I think they're starting, called Mr. Barn Owl. He was already in position on a big branch at the top of the tree. We shall see beautifully from here. Plop took 2 brave little steps out of the nest hole. I'm here, said his mother quietly. Come on. So together, wings almost touching, they flew up to join Mr. Barn Owl. They were only just in time. There were flames leaping and crackling at the end of the little boy's garden. That must be the bonfire, squeaked Plop. Hardly had Plop got his wings tucked away when, whoosh, up went a rocket and splat out a shower of green stars. Ooh, said Plop, his eyes like saucers. Bigger saucers. A fountain of dancing stars sprang up from the ground, and another and another. Ooh, said Plop again. You sound like a tawny owl, said his father. Goodness, what's that? Something was whizzing about, leaving bright trails of squiggles behind it and making a loud whee noise. Ooh, that's a flying saucer, said Plop. Really, his father said. I've never seen one of those before. You seem to know all about it. What's that fizzy one that keeps jigging up and down? I expect that's my friend with his sparkler. Imagine him holding his sparkler and jumping up and down with excitement. Ooh, there's a me. I beg your pardon, said Plop's father. It's a Catherine wheel. The little boy thought that I was a Catherine wheel when I landed. Remember, Catherine wheel goes round and round. Oh, isn't it beautiful? And he thought I was one. Mr. Barn Owl watched the whirling, sparkling circles spinning round and round. That must have been quite a landing, he said. Dark is kind. When the very last firework had faded away, Mr. Barn Owl turned to Plop. Well, son, he said, I'm off hunting now. Would you like to come? Plop looked at the darkness all around them. It seemed even blacker than the bright fireworks. Blacker after the bright fireworks. Not this time, thank you, Daddy. I can't see. I've got stars in my eyes. I see, said his father. In that case, I shall have to go by myself. He floated off into the darkness like a great white moth. Plop turned in distress to his mother. I wanted to go with him. I want to like the dark. It's just that I don't seem to be able to. You will be able to, Plop. I'm quite sure about that. I'm not sure, said Plop. Well, I am, said his mother. Now come on, you'd better have your rest. You're awake half the day. So Plop had his midnight rest, and when he woke up, his father was back with his dinner. There's his father flying in. Plop swallowed it in one the huge gulp. That was nice, he said. What was that? A mouse, said Mr. A mouse, said Mr. Barn Owl. I like mouse, said Plop. What's next? I have no idea, his father said. It's Mummy's turn now. You'll have to wait till she gets back. Plop was always hungry, and his mother and father were kept busy bringing him food all night long. When daylight came, they were very tired and wanted to go to sleep. Bedtime, Plop, said Mrs. Barn Owl. I don't want to go to bed, said Plop. I want to be a day bird. Well, I am a night bird, said his mother, and if your father and I don't get any sleep today, you won't get anything to eat tonight. You won't get anything to eat tonight. Plop did not like the sound of that at all, so he drew himself up straight and tall, well, as tall as he could, and tried not to go to sleep. He did sleep for half the morning, and then he woke up full of beans, or perhaps it was mouse, and then he could just not go back to sleep again. He jiggled up and down on the branch where his poor parents were trying to roost. He practiced standing on one leg and taking off and landing, and other important things that a little owl has to learn to do. And then he thought he would try out his voice. He tried to make a real grown-up barn owl noise. Eek! He screeched. Eek! It sounded like the noise a cat makes if you accidentally tread on its tail. Plop was very pleased with it. Mrs. Barn Owl was not. She half opened one bleary eye. Plop, dear, she said, wouldn't you like to go down into the world again and find out some more about the dark? Now, said Plop. Now, said his mother. Don't you want to hear my screech first? It's getting jolly good. I heard it, Mrs. Barn Owl said. Look, there's an old lady in a deck chair down there in that garden. Go and find out what she thinks about the dark. So Plop shut his eyes, took a deep breath, and fell off his branch. He did not get his wings working in time. He fell faster and faster and finally plunged at the old lady's feet with an earth-shaking thump. Gracious, cried the old lady, a thunderbolt! Actually, I'm a barn owl, said the thunderbolt when he had got his breath back. There he is, about to land. Really, said the old lady, peering at Plop over the top of her glasses, I do beg your pardon. My eyes are not as good as they used to be. How nice of you to drop in. Well, it wasn't nice of me exactly, Plop said truthfully. I came to ask you something. Did you? Said the old lady. Now, what could that be, I wonder? I wanted to ask you about the dark. You see, I'm a bit afraid of it, and that's rather awkward for an owl. We're supposed to be night birds. That is a problem, said the old lady. Have you tried carrots? What? Don't say what, say I beg your pardon. If you don't hear the first time. Don't say what, say I beg your pardon if you don't hear the first time. I said, have you tried carrots? Wonderful things, carrots. I don't think owls have carrots. Not barn owls, anyway. Oh, a pity. I've always sworn by carrots for helping one see in the dark. I can see in the dark, said Plop. I can see for miles and miles. Now, don't boast. It's not nice for little boys to boast. The old lady leaned forward and peered closely at Plop. I suppose you are a little boy. It's so difficult to tell these days. They all look the same. Yes, said Plop. I'm a boy owl, and I want to go hunting with Daddy, and he always goes hunting in the dark, and I'm afraid of it. How very odd, said the old lady. Now I love the dark. I expect you will when you're my age. Dark is kind. Tell me, said Plop. Please, said the old lady. Such a little word, but it works wonders. Tell me, please, said Plop obediently. Well now, the old lady began. Dark is kind in all sorts of ways. Dark hides things, like shabby furniture and the hole in the carpet. It hides my wrinkles and my gnarled old hands. I can forget that I'm old in the dark. I don't think owls get wrinkles, said Plop. Not barn owls, anyway. They just get a bit moth-eaten looking. Don't interrupt, said the old lady. It's very rude to interrupt. Where was I? Yes, dark is kind when you are old. I can sit in the dark and remember. I remember my dear husband and my children when they were small and all the good times we had together. I'm never lonely in the dark. I haven't much to remember yet, said Plop. I'm rather new, you see. Dark is quiet too, said the old lady, looking hard at Plop. Dark is restful, unlike a little owl I know. Me, said Plop. You, said the old lady. When I was a little girl, children were seen, not heard, but not heard. I'm not children, said Plop. I'm a barn owl. Same thing, said the old lady. You remind me very much of my son William when he was about 4. He had the same knackety knees. Are my knees knackety? Asked Plop, squinting downwards. I can't see them. My tummy gets in the way. Very, said the old lady, but I expect they'll straighten out in time. William's did. Now, I'm going indoors to have a little rest. Plop was surprised. I thought it was only owls who slept in the daytime, he said. Are you a night bird too? The old lady smiled. No, just an old bird. A very tired old bird. Goodbye then, I'll go now, said Plop. Thank you for telling me about the dark. He fluttered up to the old lady's shoulder and nibbled her ear very gently. The old lady was enchanted. An owl kiss, she said. How very kind. Plop jumped down again and bopped his funny little bow. Such charming manners, said the old lady. Then Plop took a little run, spread his wings, and flew up to the landing branch. There's his parents asleep. Well, said his mother, the old lady says dark is kind. And what do you think, Plop? I still do not like it at all. Do you think my knees are knackety? Of course, said his mother. All little barn owls have knackety knees. Oh, good, said Plop. And what do you think the old lady said? She said children should be seen but not heard. Mr. Barn Owl opened one sleepy eye. Hear, hear, he said. And that's where we'll stop today.